All right, guys, the Oklahoma City Thunder are one step closer to making the play. And what a cool story the Thunder are, and what a rebuild. And the Utah Jazz are one step closer to the lottery. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd postgame show. All right, guys, before we get into this, let's just give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. If you haven't already, go to prizepicks.com, use promo code HoopsNerd, and sign up. They will match up to $100. That's $100 of free money. You go out and you go bet on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the over on free throws, and you can bet you're going to hit. Go do it at Prize Picks, promo code HoopsNerd. I would appreciate it. And if you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Let's get this channel to 10K. All right, let's talk about the Thunder, and then let's talk about the Jazz. The Oklahoma City Thunder are now in the driver's seat towards the play-in. Let's bring up the screen here. Let's see, not delete me. And it's kind of one of my favorite stories in the league. They've been one of my most favorite teams to watch. Tonight, they played well against the Jazz. They kind of just cruised to a win against this Jazz team that is obviously tanking for better position in the lottery. But every time I watch the Oklahoma City Thunder, two things happen. One, I'm still bummed that we don't get to see Chet Holmgren play. He was going to be such a perfect fit with this team. Now, because he's out, it meant other players got to get some minutes. So Jalen Williams, who plays at center, the second J. Will, has played pretty solid. Tonight, he plays 22 minutes. And one thing I think that's interesting about him is, man, he's a good shooter. 3 for 5 from 3 tonight. Every time I watch the Thunder, he is knocking. When he gets that open spot up three, and it's usually at the top of the three-point line, he just knocks it down with regularity. And so he's gotten an opportunity to play center. You also have Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, who's likely going to get second in Rookie of the Year voting. He's been fantastic for them. He's struggled a little bit tonight, but he did have 5 assists, so he's finding ways to contribute. It's just been a very fun season with this team. And then, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who will be competing with Lauri Markkanen for Most Improved Player. The amount of free throws he's taking this season, the way he's upped his scoring at such a high efficiency, he's one of the better scorers in the league, probably top 5, top 10 scorer in the league now. He is unbelievable. And then the fact they've got Josh Giddey, who also has improved this year. I don't know if he's going to be quite the knockdown shooter. I'm just kind of curious where his three-point percentage is at this point. I believe it's gotten better this year. Let's just see, just to be sure. But three-point percentage went up. Look at that, 6 points this year. So from 26% to 32%. I mean, that's a pretty remarkable uptick. Can he do that next season? That's the thing that makes me enjoy this Oklahoma City Thunder team so much, is how they finally filled this roster with versatile, talented, multi-skill players who can do multiple things. So Jalen Williams at the forward, I don't know. Oklahoma City Thunder fans, tell me in the comments, what do you guys call them to differentiate? You've got the L and the Y. I mean, he's Jalen with a Y, and then there's Jalen without the Y and the E. I don't know how to differentiate. But anyways, Jalen with the E is just a fantastic player. Honestly, on my Prize Picks, he has made me some good money. But anyways, he just is so versatile, and he does so many things. I love how he can kind of play off of either Josh Giddey or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We've gotten to see that actually multiple times this year, because Shai's missed probably somewhere between 10 to 20 games this year. I can't remember exactly. But in those moments when Shai was out, Jalen Williams was able to kind of be that secondary ball handler off of Josh Giddey, and he showed that he can 100% do it. So you've got 3 guys on the floor in SGA, Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, who can handle the ball, and even Lou Dort, who is the Dortcher chamber, fantastic defender. But on offense, I think he's a little bit underrated because he can drive. He knocks down threes. Tonight, he was 0 for 3 from 3, but let's just check for the season where he's at. He's one of the most impressive stories, too, where he's just become such a integral part of this team. Look at this, 33% from 3. So this is about where he's going to be from 3 points. So in the playoffs, he'll be interesting to watch. Is 33% going to uptick to 36, or is he going to go below, or is he going to just be right around there? That's actually pretty decent, 33%, if he can knock that down when you consider that he handles the ball. He defends like one of the best defenders in the NBA. First team all defense level defense. Pretty fun to watch. But like I said, this team has been one of my more favorite stories of the season. The fact that they lost Chet Holmgren at the beginning of the year was such a bummer. And when he comes back and he fills this center role, and then you have him surrounded by all these versatile big wings. I mean, Josh Giddey is huge. He's 6'8". You've got Jalen Williams, also huge. Luke Dort is built like an absolute tank. And then someone like Jalen Williams who can just slide to the 4 spot, and you've got just such versatility with this team. Oh, by the way, they're going to get more picks in this draft, and it's a big, deep draft. They'll likely get just another player. Watch the Oklahoma City Thunder just have someone fall to them, because that just seems to happen with them. They knocked it out of the park with this Jalen Williams pick. Watch them get someone else. They'll just they'll get lucky. They'll get someone else. They'll have them matched with Chet Holmgren and all these guys. It's just a really fun team, and I hope they stay together for a long time, because in my opinion, they really did this rebuild right. It seems like at the end of the season, the team was absolutely 100% going to go into the play-in. And just speaking of the play-in, let's see. Oh, I've ruined all my things here. Let's just go to the standings and look at this. They are in the number 10 spot, and they're in the driver's seat. So they are ahead of the absolute dumpster fire Dallas Mavericks. They are up on them in the win column. I don't know what their tiebreaker is with them, but I just have no faith in the Dallas Mavericks to win any more games this season with the level of defense they play. Oklahoma City has that driver's seat, and so they're going to make the play-in with all this development they've done. And I think they can be pretty interesting in the playoffs when you consider Shai's ability to score in difficult ways. It's going to translate into the playoffs in a nice way. Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, all these different players can knock down shots, and they're just versatile and big. So they can do some nice things defensively in the playoffs. I wish they had Chet, because Chet takes them to another level of versatility with what they can do, whether he's on the floor as a rim protector. He can also spread the floor. It's going to be, this team next year is going to be such a fun team to watch. But all right, that's all I've got for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's talk about the Utah Jazz. The Jazz lost again. The Jazz have now lost. Let's see. Let's go to Tankathon and just see. Don't tell me that. Okay, so the Utah Jazz have lost 4 straight. They are not messing around. They even rested THT tonight. When you're at the point where you're resting Taylor Horton-Tucker, that means you've got a mission, and that mission is to not let Dallas or Oklahoma City, if Oklahoma City just suddenly decided to lose. I think that Oklahoma City has one more game left. So the Jazz are safely in front of OKC, and it looks like Dallas has 2 games left. Utah actually, after tonight, still has 2 games left as well. So the tank continues, but Utah wants to hold that 9 spot with the 20% chance to jump into the top 4. The thing that's interesting for Jazz fans that you need to watch is this right here. Look at this. Either 3.8 or 3.4. So it's not just a 20%, it's a 23.4% chance to jump into the top 4. So, I know Jazz fans, myself included, were really disappointed that the Jazz probably should have stealth tanked a little more this season, because look at this. They are just 2 games back of this tie for 6th. And so, that win against Sacramento that sucked, that win against Boston late in the season. How did they beat? I know that Sacramento rested Kevin Huerter that game, and Boston was resting Al Horford and back into back-to-back and all these things. It was my opinion the Jazz should have done something like rest THT in those games, because he went off, and they could have been in here. So that's the thing that I wish they would have done. They won those games, which, I know the Jazz have traded basically everyone, and you could talk about what else they could have done. They've really done everything they could have. They could have taken it to another level, but I don't know. I wish they would have done a few extra things to stealthily lose those games. But at this point, it pretty much feels like number 9 is where the Jazz are going to stay, especially with Kyrie Irving going bonkers last night and getting that win for Dallas over Sacramento. So it's looking like Utah is pretty... Yeah, Jazz should have rested Will Hardy. That's pretty much exactly it, because my goodness, he gets the best out of this team. The big news today, actually, well, I don't know if it's big news. It would be big news if the headline was Jazz signed Luka Šamanić for the 2023-24 season, which actually happened. So Luka signs with the Jazz, 3 for 8 from the field tonight. One thing that I like, and it's actually kind of a page out of the Oklahoma City book, is the Jazz are starting to just fill their team with big for their position players with with length and size that play hard and are multi-skilled. So you can just kind of see Luka Šamanić. Is it Šamanić or Šamanić? I've heard people say Šamanić. We'll just say Šamanić. But anyway, Šamanić kind of fits that mold. The same mold as someone like Kelly Olynyk or Lauri Markkanen. Someone who is big for their position, multi-skilled, passes the ball, shoots, can do a little bit in the post. Šamanić does all those different things. And lest we forget, he was drafted at number 19 in 2019. And fell out of the rotation and fell out. I think it was the Spurs that drafted him, was not playing on the Spurs anymore after like 2 seasons. And so I don't know if the pandemic had something to do with him not getting a chance to really develop. I know a lot of players kind of who were trying to develop and get into the league really struggled during that pandemic period where they just weren't allowed to be in buildings and things. Anyways, can the Jazz turn him into something else? Because he's got guaranteed money next year. And if not, it's okay. But he kind of fits that mold of big for his position, length, size, can shoot the ball, spread the floor, fits into the mold of what the Jazz do. Kelly Olynyk got a near triple-double tonight. Look at this night for Kelly Olynyk. 16 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. He is not interested in tanking, I can tell you that. He is just putting up absolute numbers. The other thing that, and Will Hardy mentioned it, he almost had a quadruple-double tonight with turnovers. So that's one thing that he's helping with the tank with. But, like we said, Kelly Olynyk fits the mold of what the Jazz are trying to do. Multi-skilled players, play hard, good attitudes, demeanor. All the things you want in a player is what Kelly Olynyk brings. Now, is he a great defender? No, but he does a lot of things that help you win games. And you can just see that across the board here on the stat sheet. 14 rebounds is pretty huge. Doak got minutes tonight, and they were pretty much what you would expect, although pretty decent. 12.7 rebounds. Doak looks like he understands the game a little bit more, but it's interesting, the minus 14. I don't know if Udoka is a NBA player, to be honest. He may go make some money in Europe, and I hope he does and makes a lot of money, but I don't know if he's going to be making much more money in the NBA. Ochai Agbaji is getting so much development. It's fantastic. 0 for 8 from 3 tonight, so it was not a great shooting night, but Ochai Agbaji at points tonight was playing point guard, which was fun to watch. Maybe part of the reason why the Jazz rested THT also because they wanted to lose this game. Also, interestingly, Oklahoma City's been skidding lately. 4 and 6 in their last 10. The Jazz were not messing around. They did not want to win this game. OKC at times looked a little sluggish. They look like they've lost a little bit of that juice they had even like 15 games ago. But anyways, Ochai gets a chance to really play point guard, something that I'm personally very happy about because he gets to kind of just figure things out, make mistakes, miss shots. So 0 for 8 for night. We know over 8 from 3 tonight. We know that's not something that's going to happen every night for him. But what happens is he gets to run the point, run pick and rolls, take pull-up threes instead of just the easy spot-up corner threes. And things like this are going to happen. When you don't make 8 of your threes, your field goal percentage overall is going to go down. But if you consider that if you take out these, he shot 6 for 10 from the field. That means he was making his inside shots, whether it was layups. And I liked what I saw from Ochai driving to the rim, making baskets, and just the confidence level is up there. I actually think him taking 18 shots, leading the team in shots is a pretty exciting thing. One, because the Jazz are allowing these players to develop. And two, he has the confidence to do it. With Will Hardy allowing him to become a consistent rotation player, he has become something really interesting for the future. The numbers aren't great tonight, but at least from 3, but everything else you got to be happy with. Now, running the point and getting 0 assists, I don't know what that tells you. It was basically backup point guard because Chris Dunn started from the point and kind of ran the offense, and he had a nice night to do tonight as well. 8 assists, 7 rebounds. So nice to see him. 9 for 10. He really just bully balled his way tonight to keep the Jazz kind of in this game. 22 points for Chris Dunn. He even was 2 for 2 from 3. So pretty monster night from Chris Dunn, if you ask me, actually. So really nice night for him. Him and Kelly Olynyk. It was the new dynamic duo of Chris Dunn and Kelly Olynyk. Who was expecting that when this Jazz season started? Simone Fontecchio is quietly falling back into a slump with his shooting. I don't know why, but he was so hot there for a while, and now he is not. Damian Jones, on the other hand, continues to be impressive to me as a backup center. I bet he's the third center for the Jazz for a while because I just think he brings a lot of things. Now, he's not as big as Kessler, and who knows what happens in this draft if the Jazz draft a center, but having Damian Jones on your team is nice. And the thing we learned last year, actually, for the Jazz is that you can go out and get centers like this on the free agent market because, there's just a lot of them. And you can either draft them, maybe the Jazz with their first 2 picks, they're both going to be in the lottery, their first 2, but the next one's going to be like 27. If the best player on the board is a hyper athletic center, like a Filipowski, let's say he drops, someone like that I could see dropping. Maybe you go pick him up, And so I could see something like that. I know a lot of us have PTSD with the Jazz drafting Udoka Azubuike over Desmond Bane when he was right there, and all of us were screaming for it, literally. And then they drafted Doak, and the sadness began. But I think there's still times in the draft when you go late first, especially with how many centers now are such a big part of the NBA. When you consider like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic and Bam and just all these centers, Al Horford, big time. Spread the floor center. Walker Kessler, big time center. You have to have these centers that can guard these other centers. And so late in the first round, if the top of the board is a athletic, spread the floor center like a Filipowski, then I'm happy and fine with the Jazz doing that. Not with the first 2 picks, though, with how much wing and guard depth there is in this draft. So speaking of the draft, and that's pretty much all I've got tonight, guys. It was a good night for Jazz fans wanting the 9 pick. It's really looking like that's what it's going to be tonight. So let's see. Let's start the music and let's just check out Tankathon. And I know they want to give us Grady Dick, but we are not drafting Grady Dick. If they show me Grady Dick, I'm going to be mad. Although I don't know if they've updated their mock lately. The Ringer big board has Grady Dick at like 11. So please let the Jazz not get him. Let's see. So if the NBA draft lottery was, let's refresh it to make it sure it's the latest, but let's just see what would happen if the lottery was today. Boom. Washington jumps to number 1. So the Jazz regret not losing 2 games because they could have had the number 1. San Antonio at 2, Portland at 3. Look at that. Wow. But that means Utah stays at 9 and 14. According to this mock, who is it? Grady Dick. But guess what? I was listening to Rafael Barlow. If you actually go to Ringer Big Board or Ringer Draft Board or whatever it's called, Cason Wallace is at like 6 on these. So if Cason Wallace is there at 9 and Anthony Black and Cam Whitmore, actually I think Cam Whitmore falls to Jazz at 9 according to the Ringer board. Pretty exciting stuff. So it kind of feels like this draft has some tiers. Tier 1 is Victor Wembanyama. That's tier 1. He is a tier of his own. He is unbelievable. Tier 2 to me is Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. Take your pick of these 2, but those are basically the tier 2. Both of these guys could have possibly been like the number 1 overall pick last year and most definitely next year's draft. Then you've got this next group that's kind of Amin Thompson, Asar Thompson, Jarris Walker, and that's kind of the next. And then these guys after that, Taylor Hendricks, Cason Wallace. Kevin O'Connor has Taylor Hendricks going in like the top 8. And that's why Cam Whitmore falls to the Jazz. That would be pretty exciting if the Jazz got Cam Whitmore because he's been kind of in this range all season. Do the Jazz get Cam Whitmore in this lottery? That would be remarkable. And then if you look here, the Jazz get Keontae George at 14. I'm not big on Keontae George because I'm tired of undersized shooting guards. But you know what? It's an interesting pick. Or maybe a Jet Howard or Jordan Hawkins. Or Ryan Rupert. Ryan Rupert is climbing draft boards. He is big, long, and an elite defender. Kind of like I can't remember his name on Minnesota. But anyways, there's some really nice guys here to be had. Jalen Hood-Schifino's interesting. Really nice. And then here they have Marcus Sasser. I don't know anything about him. But Leonard Miller would be interesting at this spot if he falls. Filipowski, look at that at 23. So someone like that who can spread the floor at center, falling to 27 might be, or 28 might be interesting. McDaniels, thank you, TC Anderson, my friend. Thank you for the assist. Yep, exactly. Like Ryan Rupert kind of makes me think of McDaniels. He's so long and he's, you know, so interesting. Like maybe a smaller version of McDaniels. Okay, so that's all I got tonight. If you're new here, guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Let's give a shout out to our All-Stars. And if you'd like to become an All-Star, you can just join the channel. Hit the button below. That would be great. Let's just pull this up. All right, let's give a shout out to Baby Elliott. Baby Elliott Matson, Ezekiel Raisibi, the man for none under. See ya, Lexa later. Built Ford Tough, Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de Abaco, Jordan the Goat, Best Rule, Just Buckets, JB, Zap Watts, TGD, Total Game Domination, Christian House Money to Haas, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, X marks the spot for Zintas, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, DWCB, Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer, Patrick Kakuba, the Connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, just 2 games left, and then it's time to start talking draft, lottery, and all the other things. If you're new, like I said, like and subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you next time.